So, was it 2002?
2002, yeah, that's when I had the near fatal
So,
car accident.
check this out for an intro.
hmm
Tell me what you think. I'm going to practice it,
Okay.
right? Today, we're joined by Steve Judge, who in 2002 was in a near fatal car accident and was trapped in a car for some time before he was rescued. The doctors told him he'd never walk again. And he went from some of the darkest moments a person can go through sheer tyranny of will, saying, not only am I going to walk again, and not only am I going to exceed your expectations, I'm going to exceed the achievements of most of humankind. And he went on to win 2 world championships in triathlon.
Very good.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's really good. You've done some research, which is always nice. I find that the conversation flows when people have done a bit of research because they can say, I want to pick up on your story. There's one bit that I don't understand or whatever, and they just like expand it more, and that's really interesting. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I've I've seen some of your videos. I've watched some of the talks. One thing I find quite interesting, and this is not, we're not talking about the story or the journey yet. And if you want to, that's an interesting thing to go through. But one thing I find quite interesting is when you look at the cache of influencers that we have now, the cache of motivational speakers, there's if you follow me, everything's fine, everything's always fine. Whereas you come across as a much more of a human being that's reach out and touch upon. Like, hey, you're like, okay, good days, bad days, woof days, but here are my mantras. These are the triggers I use to get me through them.
That's what I'm working on, and it's not easy to do that because as a motivational speaker, I think you want to come across as motivating all the time, 100%. But people can't relate to that. You think they can, and some people do, but you've got to be authentic so that people can relate to who you are as a person, a human being. And I might be like 80-20, the 80-20, not 100%, but just 80%. And the other 20%, I'm like low and not motivating and not inspiring and grumpy and sulking and stuff like that. But it's only 20%. Whereas on the flip side, other people might be 80% low and unmotivated and only motivated the 20%. So I'm still probably higher than the rest of them. Not that I'm comparing, but I don't want to come across as 100% because people will not be able to relate to that at all. And it's hard. I feel it's quite hard to open up. It's like using my hands. You're opening up your armor, your protection, and you're exposing yourself. You're making yourself vulnerable. Nobody likes doing that. But the more you do it, the more people appreciate it and they respect you and they like you and trust you. And that's what's important.
You think it's easier for people to learn if they can identify with you? Because you can see the perspective of, if people know that I'm vulnerable, if people know that I'm not immune, then I can hold myself up as this beacon that they can look at as a light. They can go, oh, I just follow this guy. This is my new guru. Do you know what I mean? You can see that. You're like, yeah. But then they won't learn. It's not necessarily, do you know what I mean? They won't learn anything from just following this light. Whereas if you say, look, this is the truth.
Yeah.
Try and follow some of that truth. Even if that excludes some of the people that just wanted that light.
Yeah. You've got to show the warts and all. You've got to show the downsides. It's like, I was thinking about it, was it yesterday or whatever? So if you've got somebody who's been in a perfect marriage, perfect love life, perfect relationship, and they're trying to give advice on relationship, it sounds perfect because they've got 100% perfection, but they haven't experienced the low sides of that, of having a bad relationship. You almost want somebody that's been through the tough times and come out of it so that they've got the experience and expertise and the guidelines and the tools and all of that. Not too much, you know. If they just keep, if they keep like messing up their relationships, then that's not a good person to get advice from. But if somebody who's been through it, and it's the same with life, somebody who's been through business, not success, but things that, you know, where they've had a few downsides and done something about it. What did they learn from that? And then sharing those learnings, that's who you want to be following. Which sounds bizarre, but if you think about it, it does make more sense than somebody who's just done everything 100% perfect all the time, because that's not reality.
So it's kind of similar to the reasons that we started this thing. It's like I was mentioning to you on the phone. Like the reasons that we started this was to showcase. We were just bringing different business owners in.
Yeah.
But it was people that you could reach out and touch. People that I know that guy. I've met that guy down the pub, and he's gone from zero to hero in 18 months. And just because he insisted upon it.
Yeah.
You know? And so there's an interesting thing that I say. That my two favorite types of client are either athletes or military personnel.
Okay.
Because everybody's day does this.
Yeah.
Everybody's life is doing this.
It is, yeah.
Right? They know how to just turn up. They know how to be consistent. And while life is doing this, the rest of us are like, oh, I have a bad day, I don't want to do it. Yeah. Oh, I'm having a great day, I'll do some. Oh, I'm not having a bad day, I don't want to do it. Whereas they will just trudge, like military guys, especially like officers and above. They just trudge. No matter rain or shine, they'll trudge. Give them anything within 6 months. It's got systems and processes. You know? That kind of, but at the same time, that is discounting the need for motivation and inspiration. Even it's just like trudge, turn up, do it, rinse, repeat. So tell me where the motivation thing kicks in.
So going back on the military, I think with the military personnel, they're very strong on dedication, routine, commitment, and that's what keeps them going through. They're trained in that from as soon as they join. Now, a lot of the other people, they don't have that as such. So you need the motivation to get you up to that level. But motivation lasts only 48 hours. You know, I understand that as a motivational speaker, the whole audience are motivated. It's amazing. But if they're not willing to take action, if they're not willing to set a new routine, a new habit, to take action from that motivation, then I know that they will go back to where they were before they heard me speak. So it is about doing something about it. That's what you need to do. And it is, you know, and I do this in my coaching, I do this in my workshops about how you can set those routines, those habits in to start making yourself more dedicated, more committed, getting into that routine where you're trudging like the military, because now you know where you're going to. And when I say where you're going to, I think that's the first thing that you need to do is know where you're going. Where you're going with all of this? Why are you doing all of this? Because there's going to be some real tough times. This journey is never easy. This journey towards achievement, to success, or whatever you're working towards, there are going to be highs and lows, and you've got to be asking yourself, why on earth am I doing this? What's all this about? So knowing what you're going to and why you're doing it is just so important. And once you've got that, then you can set the routines, dedication, commitment, etc., and on you go. And again, I say on you go like it's like a flippant, yeah, there you go, job done. It's not, and keep going, reminding yourself every week, every day, every month why you're doing it, you know, to keep picking yourself up, because you're just not down again.
So why are you doing it?
What am I doing as my role now as a motivational speaker?
Yeah.
I ask myself a lot, and as a business owner, you should know. I should know this answer, and I do. I'll give you my answer. I'm just not too sure if it's the right answer, but I guess if it's how I feel. So mine is frustration. I get really frustrated, and I don't know whether that's a good thing or not, but I get frustrated with other people that don't achieve in their life. What frustrates me even more is people that talk about wanting to achieve and don't do anything about it. Oh my gosh, it just drives me mad. And it blends into the cliche of we only have one life, live it. But people don't realize that. And I'm not saying that I had a wake up moment when I had my near fatal car accident and I woke up and thought, oh, I've got one life, I better start living it. It's just a process that I've gone through over the last 22 years, I guess, of I have made the most of it. I have done things, I have achieved, and it's a real buzz. And it's asking myself, what more can I do? What do I really want to do? Okay, let's set that as a goal. Let's work towards that. And then I meet people that say, oh, I want to do this. And I go, okay, and what are you doing about it? And they go, I'm not doing anything about it. I'm like, oh, sorry, I thought you said you really wanted to do this. I thought, they might say, I don't like my job and I want to get a new one. Or I don't like my relationship when I get a new one. Or I don't like my health, my fitness. I want to be healthy and fit. I said, what are you doing about it? And they go, nothing really. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And you can tell I get really frustrated. So I get it. Everybody's different. So what can I do to help them? And I can motivate them. I can inspire them. Job done. But like we already discussed, that only lasts 48 hours. So what else can I do? A workshop, tools, guidance, exercises for them to actually put something in place, get something set in stone so that they know what they're working to, why they're working towards it. A book, I've written 2 books now. What else can I? And I'm always asking myself, what more can I do to help other people? Because I don't want people to go through their life and have regrets at the end of it. There's a quote that my business coach told me or shared with me a couple of years ago, and it prompted me to write my second book. And the quote is "Hell on Earth." So the quote goes, "Hell on earth is getting to the end of your days and meeting the person that you could have become." Now I read this, and you have to read it twice or 3 times. Hell on earth is getting to the end of your days and meeting the person that you could have become. And I said, look, I've read it and I don't get it. I don't agree with it. In fact, I said, when I get to the end of my days, the person that I could have become will be the loser, the waste of space, the person that didn't do the things that they should have done. They'll be fat, unhealthy, and they'll have watched Netflix and done all the things. And that will be the loser. I won't be that person. When I get to the end of my days, I'm going to go, oh my gosh, what a rush. I'm exhausted, but I've done as much as I possibly can. And he said to me, my business coach, Rob Pickering, he said, I get that, Steve, but that's because you're a bit different to other people. I said, well, I don't know what you mean. And I've done some research into it. So about 20% of people are like me, but 80% of the people are the opposite. So 80% of people will get to the end of their days and they will have regrets. They will say, oh, I should have spent more time with my family. I should have gone on more holidays. I should have had a job that I enjoyed. I should have been fitter. I should have been healthy. And they regret how they've lived their life. And they know that now. And we're like, oh my gosh, they know that now and they're still going on that journey towards it. So they're almost planning to have regrets at the end of their life. How crazy is that? It just blows your mind. And like, why are they doing that? And it's because they don't know any better. Or their mindset. I haven't been introduced to this new mindset that they could, achieve the things that they want to achieve. And I almost feel that I'm on a mission to change that 80% into the 20%. So that they understand that they can work towards the things that they really want to. If they want to get healthier, then okay. What does that feel like? What does it look like to you? What can we do about it? They want to get fitter. What does that mean to you? You want to get a new job? Okay, well, should we Google it? Should we look for a new job? You want to get a new relationship? Okay, let's join a dating app. I don't know. I haven't got all the answers, but let's find out what you want first and then work towards that. And I just want to help people more. I think probably because I've seen the light and I've seen what is possible, and I want people to experience the happiness and fulfillment of their life as well. So that's why I do what I do, and I do think it comes down to frustration of seeing other people not waste their life. That seems a bit harsh, but not fulfilling it to their full potential. They've got so much they can do, and they don't do it. And I don't understand why. And it's on an individual basis as to find out why they do that. And maybe there is a reason, I don't know. But I want to make sure that I've got no regrets in helping as many people as I possibly can in any way possible.
So would you say you're living your life to your full potential now?
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you this question. This might be familiar.
Okay.
What more can you do?
I knew you were going to ask that. And it's the question that I ask myself every single day. And sadly, there's only 24 hours in the day. So I can't do everything. And it's so frustrating. So I'm always thinking about what more I can do. And it's for me, it's a third part of the 5 rules that I give out. and that is your golden gear. Your golden gear is all the things that you can do to achieve your goal. And it's one question 3 times, and that is, what more can I do? What more can I do? What more can I do? Now, I got this from being an elite athlete. When you get to the start line, when you're on that start line representing Great Britain in the World Championships, you've got to be there with no regrets. You can't say, oh, do you know what? I wish I'd trained a bit more. I wish I'd done an equipment check. I wish my mindset was better. I wish my health, my fitness was better. I wish I was. It's too late. You're on the start line. You've got to be there saying, bring it on. I've got no regrets. So before that, the 3 months before, the year before, you're asking yourself, what more can I do so that when I get to that start line, I've got no regrets? So I'm asking myself that in business all the time. What more can I do? And I've even got it with me. It's a book of crazy ideas, business ideas. I don't know which one it is. Is it crazy or is it business? Because some of them are ridiculous, but they're the ones that's where the magic happens. So I'm doing the day-to-day, the lead generation, the marketing, the speaking on the stage, the coaching and the workshop. That's great. But I am asking myself, what more can I do to get my message out there? Do I need to do more marketing, more social media, more videos? So the crazy thing at the moment, which I'll share with you, is a feature-length film about my journey. I know, how cool would that be? Will that be? Because it is going to happen. And what we're doing about it, I'm working with a company called Production House in Wakefield. We're going to do a 15-minute film first. So we're going to raise some money for that. And once we get that made, it's going to be very much scouting based, because I'm a scout. Scouting is a big part of my life. It has been when I was a child. It is now as a Cub Scout leader and president of Derbyshire Scouts. So it's got a scouting theme to it. It's got like the inspiration from Rocky. It's got the comedy from Cool Runnings, and it's got the Yorkshire northernness from Kes from the 70s, the film from Kes. So you've got all of that piled into 15 minutes. And once we've done that and we've made that, we're going to send it out to 50 million scouts around the world. Okay, it's going to be amazing. We're going to get some promotion, obviously. We're going to get a lot of interest. Netflix will pick up on it. Amazon Prime will want it. Hollywood will be gagging for it. And we'll take it from there and onto the feature-length film. But yet it's step by step by step. At the moment, we've got the script. Next, we're going to raise the money. And that's a hurdle. It's a barrier. It's an obstacle. That's where we are. So you think, oh, you haven't moved very far. I think, no, I haven't. It's really frustrating. But I'm trying to run a business and have my family life and look after my kids and everything, and do all the voluntary work that I do. I'm kind of wading through all of that to try and get some time to work on this project, because it's not necessarily a money-making project at the moment. It's just like something that I really want to do. And why? Because it will get the inspiration, the motivational message out there. What more can I do? I want to get it out there. And I think that's a really good way of getting it out there. So that's one crazy idea of what more I can do at the moment.
And when did I mean, so was it a light switching on type realization? Was it a eureka?
I don't think so. I think when I woke up in hospital, my instinct was survival. I just wanted to survive. I struggled to breathe. I think the first physio exercises were very much lung based, about getting oxygen in. I remember I struggled to eat. I couldn't eat. I didn't have enough energy to eat. I had to count how many mouthfuls of food I swallowed. That was my goal. That's what I was working towards. And it's just bit by bit. And then it was like to sit up in bed. Then it was to get out of bed into a wheelchair. Then it's get it onto crutches. Then it's to walk without crutches. And then bit by bit, you progress. And I think as time's gone on, I've realized how much I've achieved on my journey by really wanting it, by being really dedicated, committed, tenacity, pushing myself through the pain out of my comfort zone, and being amazed at what I've achieved. And I've achieved so much. My accolades, world champion, it's just incredible. And it is. So what more can I do on this journey? I've done this, what's next? I've done this, what's next? And that's exciting. And that's what life should be about, surely. It's exciting. And if it's not exciting, if you feel that you're flatlining through life, I don't think that that's quite right. I think it's a question that I ask a lot of people, and sometimes it's something you need to think about: is, are you happy or content in life, or both, or neither? I don't know. But for me, because I can't talk to everybody else, but for me, I'm very happy, always smiling. But in no way am I content. Oh my gosh, I've got so much more that I want to do. And like I said, only 24 hours in the day, and I'm not content. So I'm always thinking about how I can do more, what more I can do, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's help, whether it's collaboration. How can I do that? Now, I do meet some people and they say, "No, I'm very happy, Steve, and I'm quite content in life." I'm like, "Really? Oh my gosh, wow, you found it. You're content. You're done." It's like a Buddhist or something like that. They found it in a
So,
peace.
so I'm not saying that I'm the finished article.
Okay.
I'd say I was happy and content.
So you're content, you don't want any more?
Well, it's not that. So I don't want it that badly.
No?
Not
You don't want to be
really.
fitter, healthier?
Oh yeah, ish.
Oh,
I just want everything ish more. But I'm genuinely, I'm like, this is awesome.
good. So you're happy.
Yeah,
But
but
you said ish.
yeah, as in, I know I should work harder. I know I should be healthier. All of that. Well, could. It's probably a better word from a psychology point of view. But I'm like, yes, I'm in an all right place.
That's good.
Life's going well. Like, it could be. So there's a lot of it could be so much worse.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
So
we're
I'm not there,
lucky.
but for the grace of God. That
Yeah.
whole thing of it's. I'm not a Syrian refugee.
Yeah,
So this is a blessing, surely,
it is.
right?
Yeah.
So then sitting in that space and having, for example, a business coach saying, "You've got to, I need help. I
Mhm.
need a different type of help. I need a different type of motivation," which is where you come in, sir.
Yeah, and I think
Because I'm interested to know how you drive this mindset, because I don't know what the framing is. The triggers. That's what I'd love to go into, is the triggers and the mantras that you tell yourself. Because I've got a lot of triggers and mantras, a lot of them,
okay.
that just keep the wolves away. I just like stress doesn't come near me, because I've got these amazing defenses that go, not you, not you, you know what I mean? So I'm just like floating. I'm like, yeah, this is great.
Wow.
But what I'd like to know is, all right, if I do need to change gears just for the next 12 months, let's be real.
Yeah.
But if I do need to change gears, like, how do I do it? Not just for today, because I can come to one of your talks and I'm like, that's it, I'm gold.
Yeah.
But like you say, 48 hours later, I'm like, let's get that
Mm.
burger in, shall we? So that's what I need to, I'd be interested to know what that journey looked like.
So for me, and I think it is, sometimes it depends how you see goals. And some people say goals, that seems a bit. You're always like pushing yourself, Steve. You're always like, and I'm not that kind of a person. And in fact, so every year, New Year's Eve, no, New Year's Day, I used to sit down with my kids and we'd say, let's write out our goals for the next year. And after a couple of years, they said, Dad, we don't really like doing this goal setting thing. I said, okay, and I'm not like a pushy parent or anything like that, but I just thought it was nice to find out what's going on inside their head. What did they want to achieve? So I changed the way I said it. I said, well, what do you want to do this year? I said, what do you mean? I said, what do you want to do? Do you want to go on a holiday more? I said, yeah, we'd love to go on holiday. So we'll write that down. I want to go on more picnics. I want to play with our friends. I want to go swimming more. I want to go cycling more. I want to see our cousins more. I see those as goals.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see them as goals. They see them as things they want to do. So I think this thing about, what goals you have and whether you're content or not depends on how you see that, really. And what I do for me, and this is what I do in my workshop, the first thing I do, because it's very much about focusing on what you want to achieve rather than what you want to avoid. A lot of people get stuck in this. So in fact, 80% of people generally focus on what they want to avoid rather than what they want to achieve. So for example, they might say, I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to be in a job that I hate. I don't want to be poor and all of these things. And these are all quite negative. So I don't want to be unhappy. Okay, big one. I don't want to be unhappy. Well, where the focus goes, the energy flows. So the more you think about that, the more you actually go towards that. So just twist it round. I want to be popular. I want to be rich. I want to be successful. I want to achieve. I want to be happy. Okay, just by focus. And it sounds very British, very big headed. As in, oh, we can't say things like, I want to be successful. Who do you think you are? But no, just you can say it to yourself. You don't have to shout it out loud or anything like that. There's no high fiving or anything like this. It's just about thinking about the positivity and about what you want to achieve. Think about what you want to achieve rather than what you want to avoid. Now, Before you go any further, I then ask people to draw 2 pictures. Ask them to draw a picture of where they are now. And they could be in a good place, happy, content, smiley face. I don't know about all the people around them and things like that. They've got the house, the car, they've got a job, fairly fit and stuff. That's good. Okay, enough of that. Let's draw a picture about where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years' time. Is it exactly the same, or have you got a slightly bigger house, maybe a different car, maybe you've got some more materialistic things, maybe you've got a bigger people around you, more of a, I call them your golden gang, the people that are going to help you. Who would you like to help you? Is it a business coach? Would you like to go and see a masseur every month, or a nutritionist, or would you like a personal trainer? I don't know. It's blue sky thinking. It's just a picture. You just draw. And if you want a house, do you want a swimming pool? If you want a swimming pool, do you want a slide that goes from your bedroom all the way down? It's, have a bit of fun with it. You want to go on holidays, 1 holiday, 3 holidays. You want to travel? Where do you want to travel to? Just draw the picture. And it's like 5 years, 10 years time. And that's it. Now then, let's have a look at that picture. What have you drawn? Is this what you really desire? You want to be happy? You want money? And if you do want money, I get that. Who doesn't want more money? But what are you going to do with that money? With that money, does it give you a 4-day week, a 3-day week? Can you give more time to volunteering? That's a really good thing, isn't it? And what does that mean? What does volunteering mean to you? Do you want to give back? Giving back is really important. That's why I do a lot of work for the Scout Association, because I'm giving back, because I got so much from them at the, when I was younger. So drawing that picture, having that vision of where you want to go is the first start. Your gold, as I call it, that would be your golden vision. Gold being an acronym for your goal, your opportunity, your love, your dream. And that's the most important thing. And in my keynote, the last 15 minutes, I get everybody in the room. Well, it's 450 people on Monday. They all drew a picture of where they wanted to be. And some people struggled. I get it. They just didn't know this. I've never really thought about this. Nobody's ever asked me what I want. I've just kind of drifted through life. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But have a think about it. If money was no object, time no object, 5, 10 years time, where do you want to be? Have a think about it. And I think that's really nice to open that door.
Where do you want to be in 5 years?
In 5 years' time. 5 years' time. Starts off with my business. I've been speaking now for 8 years, and it's challenging. It has highs, it has lows. I want it more secure. I want to be spending less time in front of the computer and more time on the stage. That's where I love. That's where I shine. That's where I perform. I've got a 2-year plan. Can I tell you my 2-year plan? That's it's ticking time. Okay, 2 years time. My daughter will be 18 years old. She'll probably go to university. My son's already at university. I will be home alone in a house. I don't need to be there. I could rent out my house and travel. So I call myself a global speaker. I don't do that much work globally at the moment, but in 2 years' time, that's where I want to be. I want to be traveling from country to country, sharing my message, my motivation, my inspiration, staying in hotels, staying in airport waiting lounges and stuff like that, having my luggage lost here, there, and everywhere. I don't know. You got the highs and lows, but what a buzz that would be to travel, to inspire, to motivate. So I've got 2 years to make that happen. And not be sat in front of my computer. I would have somebody else doing that. It's about knowing your skills, knowing your limits. And yeah, I can do it. I've been doing it for 8 years, but I would like somebody else to be doing all the admin work, and I just do the thing that I love, the thing that I shine doing, and that's being on the stage. Talked about my crazy idea of a feature-length film, so that would be in 5 years' time. I guess it would be in production. I mean, how exciting would that be? So I'll be thinking about the red carpet and about what I'm going to wear to go to the premiere of my feature-length film of an hour and a half, 2 hours of the Steve Judge story. I think also I would love to start getting case studies of feedback from people about how I've changed their life. What difference have I made? And I do get that now, but I'd like to get more satisfaction, more information about what good I'm doing. And it's lovely when I do get it, because I think, okay, I'll keep doing what I'm doing because it's going in the right direction. I'd like to spend, much as I'm traveling around the world and everything, I'd like to spend time with my family, my kids. I'd like to support them as well. financially as well as, with time. Um, Scouting, goodness me, so I'm a Cub Scout leader, so that's on a Monday evening. If I had money in the bank, I could give even more time to the Scout Association. So I guess it would still be giving back, and how I could do that. Haven't really thought about it too much about how I would do that. Maybe there's another book there as well about showing. Another crazy idea just come to me is I've got an idea of doing a Scout badge, my own Scout badge. That's like a legacy. So to earn that Scout badge for the new generation, the kids, to earn that Scout badge, the one thing they've got to do, there's a few things they've got to do, but one main thing they've got to do is draw a picture of what they want to be when they grow up. They want to be an astronaut, or they want to be a vet or a surgeon or a YouTuber or whatever. Draw a picture, and that will work them towards that gold badge. So yes, I've got a few ideas of 5 years time.
My kids and squirrels at the moment.
Oh right, the new one, yeah, 4 years old, 5 years old.
Yeah, and they asked me to join the squirrels thing, but I couldn't commit to the squirrel dance.
Oh,
I was like, I can't do it.
okay.
I can't. Whatever little street cred I have, I can't do the squirrel dance, man.
The squirrel dance. I didn't know there was a squirrel dance. Oh my goodness. So do you help out at squirrels at all?
I don't know how much. No, they're pretty young. I just sit there and color it.
Yeah.
Put rice in boxes and stuff. So it's
Yeah.
pretty good. I mean, it's great. It's great fun. My kid loves it.
Good.
He really loves it. So yeah.
Yeah, my scouting connection, the big scouting connection that I've got. So I joined Cubs, which was the youngest you can join in those days, was 8 years old.
Mhm.
And then I went on to Scouts. And then I went on to Venture Scouts as it was then. And then all the way through that, and I got the top award that you can get, which was the Queen Scout Award, which ends on like a 4-day expedition, plus lots of voluntary time and lots of other things that you have to do. But to get that badge, it's now called the King Scout Award, but to get that badge is the top thing that you can get. And I'm so proud that I get to wear that badge on my leadership, my leader uniform. So I'll be wearing it this Sunday on Remembrance Day Parade. But it's like an accolade to wear that. But going right back to the first 3 badges that I ever got in scouting when I was a cub, so I was about 10 years old, the first 3 badges I ever got were swimming, cycling, and running. And to say that I became a world champion in triathlon, I just feel there's a massive correlation to what I achieved in scouting and what I achieved as an adult. So by me being a Cub Scout leader now, giving back to the new generation, it just gives me so much joy, and I can see them, how much fun they have. And we play games and we give out badges, and you never know where those badges are going to take them later on in their life. And I think the badges are very much, you try everything. In scouting, you try a little bit of everything, whether it's hobbies, whether it's sports, whether it's craft, whether it's astrology. And some you work out that you're good at, and some you're not so good at. But that's fine because you gave it a go. And I think that's what life should be about trying all those badges in life and seeing what you're good at and what you're not so good at. And then you make your own decision about what you want to carry on doing. But there's a lot of people that don't do that. They just do a few things. And I think, oh, it's a shame. The world's a big place and there's a lot of things that you can do. Why not push it out there a little bit more? So I think scouting has that element there to go and explore within yourself as well. And it's really nice to start the kids off on that journey from 8 years old upwards. Obviously, it starts earlier in squirrels now, but the badges they do them beavers and cubs. But yeah, giving those out in cubs, I get great delight, and they like it as well. And we have fun, and we have fires. Always fires. I love fires. They're great.
Okay, so I'd like to talk to you, I guess, about the mantras and the triggers that you use to, get through the ups and downs.
Okay.
But before I ask you that, I have a question.
Yeah.
And we can cut this if you don't like it.
Okay.
But this is just me being curious. When you had your accident and they said you can't walk again, and every little step was a struggle, but you committed whatever will you had just to that next step. Did you do that just to commit everything you had and see what happened next and just focus on the next step? Or did you say, no, I'm going to walk again? Or were you just like, okay, I just need to sit up. I'll figure out the rest later.
I think it was more. So first of all, when you said the words, you may never walk again, I still feel it inside, that anger. I don't like being told what I can and can't do. I think there's a lot of people are like that. It's like a red rag to a bull. It really winds me up when people say what you can do and what you can't do. I will be the judge of that. So when they said that they'd fix my legs, but because of the severity of the injuries, there's a chance that I may never walk again. I felt I will show you what I can. Don't judge me. Don't just think I'm like any other person. You don't know who I am. I'll show you who I am. And I mean that in the nicest possible way, but there's a little bit of anger, a little bit of frustration there that drives me, that I don't want to be there. I want to be the future. And I see about myself, I saw myself standing again. I saw myself walking again. At that point, I said to myself, I will never run again. And I was gutted at that because I loved running. Running was my passion as a kid and as a teenager and as a young adult. I loved running. It's my liberation. So I buried that and said, okay, but I will stand, I will walk. And I did actually draw a picture when I was in hospital, just in my notebook, of me up a mountain walking, my crutches thrown to one side, and all, having that vision there and drawing that vision. That got me excited. That was a positivity that I needed. In hospital, it's doom and gloom. There's a lot of people in pain and in sorrow, and things have happened to them, and it's all very negative. And I needed something positive. I needed to, put my fingers in the air and go, la 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 la. What do I want to do? Where do I see myself being? I see myself standing and walking again. Right, okay, got that. And I know why I want it, passionate about it. Obviously, why would I not be passionate about standing and walking again? And I'm 6'1", so I'm quite tall as well. So, when you're in the bed, when you're in a wheelchair, I feel suddenly quite small. That's not who I am. I want to be standing up again. So it's a case of, what more can I do? What more can I do? What more can I do? What do I need to do? Tell me what I need to do to get to this goal that I've got of standing again. I said, well, you need to do physio. Okay, what physio? I'll do the physio. Okay, you do this and this and this. Okay. Anything else? Anything else that I can do? At one point, I was doing 21 different physio exercises, whether that's upper body or lower body. And I was still asking them, is there anything more I can do? I had nothing else to do in my life apart from that. I was at home doing physio 3 times. And don't get me wrong, physio is the most boring, painful, monotonous thing ever. But that's what I knew would get me to my goal. So that's what I did. And I was always thinking, what more can I do? And the aqua aerobics, or going the hydrotherapy, or anything. As I'm talking, I'm just thinking about all the other things that I had to do, and there were so many barriers. I had to grow bone. My leg was 4 inches shorter than it should have been. And so I had a metal cage in my leg, and I had to extend my leg by twisting nuts and bolts myself with a spanner, twisting them to lengthen this cage, to lengthen my leg, which was hard enough as it was with the pain. But then to grow the bone back, I didn't know how to grow bone. I just thought you drank lots of milk, for calcium, or eat lots of cheese for the calcium. And the surgeon said to me, he said, no, you need to stand on it, Mr. Judge. You need to walk on your leg. And I was like, but there's no bone in it. And he said, you've got to trust the cage. And that's a mindset thing, because my brain's telling me, don't do it. What are you doing? You're crazy. There's no bone in your leg, and you're going to put your whole weight through it. But that's what I needed to do. So it wasn't really step by step. It was kind of a process of, I'll do this, and then what's next? I'll do that, and then what's next? What is the process? What else do I need to do to grow my leg, to do the physio, to work my muscles, so that I can get to this end goal? And I think that at one point there was a case of, I saw a future self, a future Steve Judge, almost being angry with me if I didn't do my physio. So if I didn't do my physio, my future self would be like, what the hell, Steve? Just because you couldn't be bothered, just because it was too painful, look at what we're left with. Now my leg won't work, or my leg the bone hasn't grown back, or I can't walk properly because a year ago you couldn't be bothered to do some physio. Do the damn physio. And I could hear myself telling myself that. I was like, all right, give it a rest. I'll do the physio. So it's still having that no regrets. And you talk about triggers and mantras and messages. The big one is I've got this wall at home. It's white, and I've got all my quotes and messages all on it, written on it with a black Sharpie, which is dangerous because I'm not very good at spelling. And so I have to double check before I write it on. But it's interesting because all these quotes circle around the one in the middle, just by coincidence, I guess. But the one in the middle is no regrets. It's the biggest one. You've got to live your life with no regrets. You've got to do the physio with no regrets. You've got to do everything, because if you have regrets, it's the worst thing ever. And there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. And sometimes we do make mistakes. Learn from them and say, okay. So it's nice if you can look into the future and say, so what can I do so that I don't have any regrets? Whether it's rehabilitation, whether it's being an elite athlete, whether it's getting to the end of my days on my deathbed, what can I do now so that I don't have regrets in the future? And that doesn't mean that you achieve everything. It just means that you've worked towards everything. You've done as much as you can. As much as you can. You've been the best that you can be. Another quote that I use a lot. Being the best that you can be. It's not achieving everything. It's not succeeding in everything. It's not getting every single gold medal. It's not that at all. It's about being the best that you can be. And if you haven't been the best, then woe betide you. Then shame on you. Why have you not been the best that you could be? Have you got a reason? Or are you going to lean on your excuses? I don't know. It depends. Now, sometimes there isn't enough time in the day. Okay. Did you maximize your time, or did you waste a little bit on social media or watching too much telly or anything? Or did you spend time with your family? That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. So no regrets. So only you can answer this question at the end of the day. And the best days are when you ask yourself the question, you say, how's the day gone? You go, it's been awesome. It's been brilliant. Like you came in here today, so it's been a great day. And I thought, that's a lovely comment. When you could just think, it's just been really good. I got out, I did this, I did that. I didn't do everything because I ran out of time, but I didn't waste the time. And that's good. And sometimes we can get judgmental on that, as in you do need to give yourself some time, some self-care. Go for a walk, have some fresh air, have a coffee, and just think about nothing. And that's important. But if you are getting sucked into something negative, like you are eating too much chocolate cake or social media, or watching too much telly, or watching another episode, or staying up till like midnight, and you think this is wrong, then okay, then we make mistakes, but maybe don't do it the next day, and maybe we can learn from that, because the best days are the no regrets days.
So this, when you caught up with the Steve that you saw when you were in your hospital bed.
Yeah.
When the one that said, "Look, mate,
yeah,
do your physio,
yeah,
or I'm gonna have words." So when you finally caught up with that guy,
yeah,
was he happy with you?
yes.
Well, what's wrong with him now? What's he now? What's he complaining about?
It's still frustrated because I'm disabled, and when I got to the point of this is it, I can't do any more physio, I can't get any better than I am. This is what I'm left with. These legs is what I've got. My left leg has got a drop foot. It's got lack of feeling. I get sensitivity issues. My right leg, much as it's the right length, it's the tissue is really thin. My ankle is fixed. I get a lot of pain in my right ankle. My toes are fixed. There's complications. It's kind of disappointing. I'm like, oh, is that it? I'm like, yeah. Could you do anything more about it? No. I couldn't. I did all the physio. I did everything I did. I even did over and above. I went to acupuncture. I went to different physios. I got different treatments. This is it. No regrets. I was like, okay. So frustrated, but this is what we've got. And I think it comes on to another quote that I use, is that you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to what happens to you. This is it. This is what I've got. Okay, so what can we do with this that I've got? I don't know. I can swim. So I started swimming. I can start cycling. Okay, let's do that. And so it was very much thinking about what I could do rather than what I couldn't do. another message that I share with a lot of people. It's very simple, isn't it? But stop dwelling on the things that you can't do. If you seriously can't do them, and if you can do them and you need some training or some practice or you need somebody to help you, then okay, go for it. But at some point you get to a stage where you go, I can't do anything else. Okay. Well, let's not stress about that. What can you do? Let's think about that instead. And so
Mm.
that was a real mindset to help me to move on to dealing with what I had got. So yeah, my future self was okay, because I knew that I'd done as much as I could.
Is this the other Steve that's in your head? Everyone's got,
Yeah,
your conscience or the nag.
yeah,
But is he a pal or is he critical?
pal.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it works really well because I would love to. It is the voice in my head, and it's interesting you say that because I remember when I was an elite athlete it was a training weekend, and we did this questionnaire, and one of the questions was, "Do you talk to yourself?" And I thought, "Oh, that's like the voices in your head, isn't it? I don't know how to answer this. If I answer it wrongly, will I get chucked out to the GB squad?" So I answered it honestly, and then I asked them at the end of it, I said, what's the right answer? He said, well, there is no right or wrong answer. He says, well, what did you put? I said, well, I put that I do talk to myself. I have this voice in my head. He says, yeah, that's a good thing. I thought, oh, thank goodness for that. But I think it is. But I think it just depends on.
Strangle the coach.
Yeah, yeah. Knock into the floor. It depends on how you talk to yourself.
Mm.
And it's about asking yourself, are you sure? How are you going to feel about that going forward? Are you going to have no regrets? If you're going to have regrets, maybe you should do something about it now. And it's all the time. If I'm driving along and I see a cyclist at the side of the road with a mechanical problem, I have to pull over because I'm a cyclist. And there's nothing worse than getting a puncture or your chain coming off. And if you can't fix it and you're in the middle of nowhere, it's just nice. And a couple of times I've pulled over and I've gone back to them and said, "Are you okay? Do you need any help?" And they've gone, "I'm fine. Yeah, I'm just doing this, just doing that." I think, good, no regrets. But if I'd carried on driving all the time, I'd be thinking, "Damn, I feel guilty. Why didn't I stop for that poor cyclist? Oh my goodness." I would have had regrets. So it's listening to your voice about how you're going to feel going forward. I driving through digressing. I drove through a village the other day and I saw a woman drop her keys and she didn't know she dropped her keys and she carried on walking. I could see her in the rearview mirror. I thought, oh flipping heck, I've got to pull over now because if I don't, I'm gonna have
Yeah,
regrets.
yeah, for sure.
So I pulled over, ran up, found the keys, didn't know where she'd gone, ran into a shop, found her, eventually found her, tapped her on the shoulder, said, "Are these your keys?" She said, "Oh yes, thank you." I went, "Yeah, no problem," and that was it. And I just like ran all the way back to my car.
That's
But if I
really good.
hadn't of, I would have
Yeah.
regretted it.
But I mean, still, that is something that does also have to be managed.
Mm.
I found
Yes,
because you'll end up putting yourself so far
yes, you're right.
on. I mean, today was a good example.
Mhm.
I was running late. I was in the store, and this sweet old lady was looking for milk
Mm,
in a superstore,
right. Oh,
and she just walked past the aisle that had the milk in it, and I was like, and then she carried on going, and I was like, oh, that's where the milk is, and I was like, I know, babe. I'm sorry, babe. I gotta go. I mean, it's still enough for me to still be thinking about it now, but I gotta go.
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta go. I'm
And
sorry, babe.
and if you can justify it, and I think, by me giving my time voluntary to the Scout Association, it does tick a lot of boxes.
Mm.
So a lot of people, they phone me, can you give money to this charity? Can you give your time here? I said, no, I give my time to the
Mhm.
Scout Association on a Monday evening. I'm done. I am trying to run a business. I'm trying to put money in my own pocket. I'm trying to put food in my fridge, feed me, my kids and stuff. No regrets. So that's fine. And if people, do feel guilty or anything, then they need to have a word with themselves and think about, well, how much time or money can they give to other associations or charities? That's up to them. But for me, I'm good, and it's fine. And it makes me feel okay when I put the phone down or close the door or just say no to people on the streets that say, can you give anything? I said, no, I already do. But,
Mm.
thanks for asking.
But I think just as a community, I think it's a generation lost
Mm.
where people would just help each other.
Mm.
You know, I don't remember being in the car with my dad. I don't remember him ever not stopping if somebody was stuck.
Oh, really?
You know, never. He always stopped
Yeah.
every single time without fail. And we all do the same. Like we used to live on a hill,
Yeah.
and like if there was somebody walking up that hill, they would just stop
Oh.
and say, do you want to lift?"
Oh, that's
And
nice.
people would just say, "Yeah, all right,"
Yeah.
and jump in. Like especially if they had shopping or whatever.
Yeah.
And like my sister would do the same thing when she started driving, and and you're like, I don't think people do things like that anymore. And I
I
think,
question it though, because some people might, do you want to get in my car?
well, but there's some poor old dear trying to carry her shopping up the road, the milk that she,
I get it,
you know.
but sometimes you have to think twice about.
Yeah, well,
I
that
know.
exactly. So the world has changed. Whereas, I don't really want to ask her because it's kind of a weird thing to do now. Now it's a weird thing to say, "Do you want a hand?"
Yeah.
That isn't that like that's the status of society, that it's weird to ask somebody if they need a hand.
Yeah. It is. It is horrible when that goes through your mind, and it's lovely when it doesn't, and you just do it instinctively, and then you look back and think, "Oh, I wonder if they thought I was weird." Or not.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter. It's gone now.
yeah,
It's,
but
moved on.
still do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still do it. And now that my kid's watching me, so that's an interesting one. There's that picture. I saw a picture on the internet a little while ago, and it was a lion and his little cub,
Yeah.
and it said, "I almost gave up, but then I remembered who was watching."
Oh, I saw that
That's
the other day, I
great.
think.
It's
Yeah.
so good. It's so good because that does. I mean, having a little lad standing there just watching how you behave,
Yeah.
like it's a nice check.
Oh, it's great.
So so I like now I'm stopping even more than I was before. When he's with me, I'll stop. If I see an old guy carrying something, I'll stop and say, "Excuse me, mate, do you want a hand?"
Yeah.
And he'll go, "No, I've got this, mate." I'm like, "Cool." Just because I know my little guy's watching. Because I remember just adoring my dad for that sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I remember stopping and me and my son, he was probably about 17, 18, getting out and give somebody a push start on their car and getting it going. And, we didn't really talk about it or anything, but actions speak louder than words, aren't
Yeah.
they? So, yeah, just I remember that. Hopefully he does. And stopping for cyclists, he's been in the car when I've done that as well. So, yeah, these little things add up. And that's really important, and it moves on. Do you know my son? He's in Leeds, it's at Leeds Beckett University, and he's 19. He's an adult now, young adult, doing his own thing. But what's really nice is he's a Cub Scout leader, and he's done that off his own back. So I love how they go on their own journey, but you can see the influences that you've given them to what they do now. It's lovely.
Yeah. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, as a father, sometimes you give yourself a pat on the back. Think, yes, did something right. Because I'm sure I've done lots of things right, but they'd never say thanks, Dad. Well, they hardly ever say that. But you can see through their actions, what the
But it
seeds
takes so
planted.
long, though,
Oh,
for
yeah,
a young man
yeah,
to to self-reflect is thank God he's self-reflecting, but to self-reflect enough to understand where his behavior has come from,
yeah,
that takes a lot.
yeah.
He's gonna get to about 35 before he's like, "Hey, Dad," because I remember asking my dad, because I used to go and help my dad mend cars.
Right.
And my dad would be like, "Look, can you grab this? Hold this, really important, really important." And I'm like, "All right. All right, geez, it seems a bit dangerous." And he's like really going for it with a spanner. I'm like, "Oh, jeez, if I let this go, it's all going to go off." And I'm like, 35,
Yeah.
36 years old. I'm like, hold on a minute. Dad, remember when I was a kid? I was about 6, Dad. What was I holding that was so important? What was I doing there?
Yeah.
And he's like, "I just wanted you to feel," and I just got it.
Yeah.
The only reason he was doing that was to make me want to be there. Because otherwise it would have been dull.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't get it until I was such a big age,
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I feel that as a Cub Scout leader as well. Delegating the jobs out to some of the Cubs who are 8, 9 years old. They don't really need to do that. I can do that as I'm a leader, but they want that. They love it. And when you delegate them something to do, they do it, and you say thank you for doing that. They're, oh wow, yeah, I did a good thing. Yeah, you did. Wasn't a big thing, but you did a good thing. So yeah, it is important.
So let's talk mantras.
Yes. Yep.
When you get a dip, because you can't trick yourself. Surely not.
No.
Right. So when you get a dip, how do you get out of it?
So I think you trick yourself. I think you go in denial initially. So you have some kind of catastrophe that happens, some adversity, somewhere where you're not supposed to be, and it might be, I know, a car accident. It might be losing your job. It might be the pandemic. It might be losing your keys or your wallet. Something that wasn't planned. You will go into denial initially and go, surely this can't be happening. I don't believe it. No, ridiculous. And then you suddenly realize that it is happening. And then that will bring you down. And you probably won't realize it at first, but you will be coming down. And I call it the wave of resilience. And you'll be feeling angry about it, this thing that's going off, and your testosterone will kick in, and that will, fuel the anger. And then after that, what you need to really get into doing is the sharing. You need to share with yourself, admit it to yourself. Okay, I'm feeling in a bad place. I'm feeling angry and frustrated. Oh my gosh, if you can share it with somebody else, a loved one or a coach or a therapist, a counselor, a friend, that would be great. But if you just admit it to yourself, and a longer version, you might start writing a journal or just like listening to poetry or listen to music. Music's really good, listen to the lyrics, but just be aware of it yourself, because what's next is the rock bottom, and that's when you just feel like doing nothing. Your hormones are all over the place. You don't know what's going on. You just feel like sulking, and you're in a bad place. This could be depression for some people, again, depending on what the adversity is in the first place. So it's all about this wave of resilience. You're in this rock bottom place, but keep talking to yourself all the time. The voices in your head, not a bad thing. How are you feeling? Miffed off, to be honest, not in a good place. Stop talking to me and just wallow in it. One of my friends, my speaker friends, called it a hippo time, where you just need to wallow in the mud. Go for it. Put the telly on, get some chocolate cake, whatever you need to do, but keep checking in yourself. How long are we doing this for? Because all the time you're doing this, nobody else is. It's only you. It's only you that's in this dark place. So you've got to have a word with yourself to work out how and when you're going to get out of it. And usually, and that is down to you. It's a choice. And that choice may be to ask for help. And you need some help to get you out, but still it's your choice to go and ask for help. And that's not easy. I get it. Text message or phone call or just like putting your hand up. But at some point you make that decision, because the next bit comes acceptance. Once you accept the situation that you're in, you accept how angry we are. You accept that you've had to share with yourself and other people. You accept that you've been wallowing in this mud. You accept the situation. Then you can start doing something about it. And once you can start doing something, you can start moving yourself. Or this will start lifting you up. Your serotonin will kick in, and as you start taking action, then you'll start moving forward, and then the dopamine kicks in, and you feel good about it, and you'll be compelled to do more and more, and that will lift you higher and higher and higher, and then you start moving forward. And what you find is, on this wave of resilience, if you do it correctly, with the denial, anger, sharing, rock bottom, acceptance, moving forward, you'll actually end up at a higher plane the way you started. So that's saying that going through adversity, going through resilience, using resilience will take you to a place higher than where you started, meaning it's a good thing. I know that sounds bizarre, but as we go through life, as we experience these things that push us down, when we get through it, we'll come out on a higher plane, and that's what we need to do all the time, over and over and over again. Sometimes that means pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, pushing ourselves into this wave of resilience, and riding the wave of resilience to become a winner. And I think that's what I've done throughout my journey, is done something out of my comfort zone, come out higher and higher and higher. And we talked about it earlier, you get some people that just go through life flatlining. Yeah, I'm fine. And they're flatline. Okay. But you're never going to go any higher. And maybe they're okay with that. Okay, fine. But if you do want to go higher, just a little bit higher, you're going to have to go out your comfort zone a little bit and ride the wave. So that's one of the things I admit to myself when things are going bad. Where am I? Where am I on that curve? And knowing, it's all about the knowledge sometimes of knowing where you are on that curve, and what's next, what's coming next. Oh my gosh, the rock bottom's coming next. Okay, let's ride it out. but what can I do to sometimes speed it up?
Mm.
Because I'm quite impatient. So if I can speed up this process, if I can be angry and slam a door, have a pillow fight, shout loud. I have this place, I've used it quite a few times, where I cycle up the hill where I live. There's hills everywhere on the outskirts of Sheffield. I can cycle up to the top of the hill, and there's nothing there. And I can just scream at the loudest top of my voice, and I can see horses in the fields, and they all look round and they go, "What's going on?"
Primal screaming.
Yeah, it is. It's primal screaming. Oh my gosh, what a relief! What a release as well, and that's the anger. And I've done that a couple of times, and it just feels amazing. Sharing, I'm not very good at sharing. I'm a bloke. I'm not going to be, I'm not saying all blokes are like this, but we don't really talk to people that much. We'll talk to myself, or write a journal, or do something like that. Listen to music. That's how I share. Rock bottom, sulking. Very good at sulking. I can sulk for hours and days. It's almost a skill, but I'm also very good at pulling myself out, talking to myself, and taking action. Playing that music. I had playlists for every single one of these things. I collected the songs that helped me to get out of rock bottom, that helped me to accept the situation, that helped me to move on. Some of them are cheesy songs, some of them are powerful songs.
What have you got?
Oh my goodness, I don't know. Have I got to share? Can this be edited? So there's a varieties. It might be things like Chesney Hawkes, The One and Only. It might be Eminem, Lose Yourself. It might be AC/DC. It might be Box Fizz. It might be, I don't know, there's a various amount of songs that are there. They all seem to be 90s, don't they? Things from my childhood, I guess. But yeah, songs that help me. And I would say to anybody else, find that toolkit. When you're in a good place, find these songs so that when you need them in an emergency, you just have to hit that button. And it's fun, go through your playlists that you've got and select which ones that would really help you, which ones would lift you up, and which ones can you relate to, that when you're in a bad place and you just want to sulk and be angry, are there songs that you can relate to with those, and play those, and because that speeds up the process. So yeah, that's one of the things I do when I'm in that bad place, going through that wave of resilience.
Yeah, Lose Yourself was a good one.
Yeah, I think that's coming out of it. Kind of think of the angry ones. I was listening to some the other day. Huey Lewis and the News. There's one called "A Couple of Days Off," from, is that the 90s or 2000s? But yeah, the words are pretty much, I'm burning out. I just need a couple of days off, and I just think, yeah, hell yeah, I just need some time out, please, and just listen to that. I just think I relate to it. But like I said, it could be a poem that depending on who you are, or picture, or something that helps you.
So so that's taking yourself from darkness
Yes.
into not darkness or into light.
Mm-hmm.
What about apathy? What about people that just, because a lot of business owners struggle with this. It's not that they are necessarily they're not necessarily down, but they're just, just chugging along the trudge. They're continuing with the trudge rather than having the energy to really go for it. Like, what resets can they use? What mantras can they use?
I think it's very much about what they want. It'd be going back to their vision. That's where they are there. So where do they want to be? They're just trudging day by day.
Well, I want to be there.
Yeah.
But I know the amount of work it takes to get there.
Yeah.
And I can't bother to do that, really. So I'm just going to carry on with this trudge. I don't want to be on this trudge, but I don't want to do the work necessary to get to where I need to get to. You see the problem with their thought process?
Yeah.
It's not uncommon. That's really common.
Yeah.
That's a really common reality for a lot of people.
And when they get to, if they're just trudging along, they're going to have regrets.
Yeah, they'll have regrets.
It's that inner voice saying, what the hell? Well, why didn't you pull yourself out of that? Could you not done anything? Could you?
Again, we can edit this out if you don't like the question. But does God have a hand in your spiritual buoyancy?
I feel that God is partly the voice inside my head, inside my temple. I think it's the God within yourself that asks you the questions of where do you want to be, and will you have regrets? I think that's how I relate God into what I do and how I've gone from where I was to where I am now. It's about the no regrets, and it's very much about being at peace with myself and listen to the God within as to what I achieve. I think psalms and hymns are very much like mantras, and they're very much like words of affirmation. When I've gone to church, if I go to the end of when I come out of church, I feel great. It's so amazing. I've had 1 hour solid to myself where we've been singing, where we've done words of affirmation, we've done prayers. Everybody's really nice and kind, and it's a lovely place. And you don't need to go to church for that. You can do that yourself by looking in the mirror or by going and get some fresh air. Whatever works for you, meditation is very, very similar to what people do with religion. And it's how you do your meditation. You might sit cross-legged and you might hum, you might sit on a mountaintop, you might go to church, you might go swimming, you might go walking, you might go running. Find out what works best for you to listen to the God inside your head and listen to the voices and work out what you need to do to achieve.
Should we get some audience questions?
Yes, let's do
Do you want
that.
to hear some? There were some belters, actually. Let's see. All right, there's some terrible ones as well. Okay. What drove you before and what drove you after the potential paralysis? Was it the same thing in you?
Yes, I think it was. So I think before I had the car accident, I did lots of things. I didn't realize that they were how important they were. They came to fruition. So we talked about scouting already, about the badges, about having, I think every single badge was a goal that I set and I worked towards it. A bit like setting a foundation of setting goals and working towards them. I used to work down the coal pit of, I worked in Bentley, so I was a coal miner. I worked in Maltby Pit was my pit, and I went to Doncaster College, and I got trained as a mechanical engineer, maintenance fitter. And as an engineer, you're constantly being given problems and having to find solutions. I think I used that in my survival phase, my rehabilitation. Ask myself what more I can do. I think that's an engineering kind of question. I loved running, setting PBs, personal bests. Again, setting those physical goals and working towards them. So these are the things I did before my accident. And that was just like, I was quite average, nothing big and special. But I think when I had my car accident, my life-threatening car accident, my life-threatening injuries, all of that was kind of escalated to survival mode, as in, right, set goals, rehabilitation, work towards them, set personal bests and goals, and think to myself what more I can do. Don't lean on excuses. There's a barrier, that's an obstacle. How we can get past? As an engineer, what would I do around that? And all the time using everything that I'd gone through before the accident to propel myself forward. So nothing really specific, but lots of different things, I think, and using them in a good way, to move myself forward, and it worked.
So you'd say it's who you were beforehand that actually helped you to get through.
Yeah, I think so.
Amazing.
Yeah, my mindset, and like I said, everything was escalated, but yeah, the mindset that I had. I'd done physio before as a runner, never to that level. I'd had problems before that I'd solved, not to that level. I'd set goals before, not to that level, but I'd done them all with it before. So I had those tools, I had that
Hmm.
package, and now it came to fruition and said, right, got to use those. Let's go for it. Let's do it.
Cool. Oh, here's a nice one. Are you still the same person after your achievements? Were you satisfied? You're not satisfied. That's all right. We know the answer.
I so yeah, my feet are on the ground. Definitely. Um, much as I'm a global speaker, being on the big stage, and it's like being a rock star at times when the audience are on their feet, standing ovation. But then the next week, or even later that week, there might be a gig where it's just like 20 people in the room and there's no stage and there's no standing ovation. They still get inspired and motivated, but it's more, intimate. And so that keeps my feet on the ground. And that's a good thing. I don't think I'd ever go off there. I think I'm very much one of the people. I think my scouting element keeps my feet on the ground as well. I put on social media on Monday that I did a gig in front of 450 people, massive room, loads of applause, and it's great. And then that evening, I was down as a scout leader, with the matches, getting the fire going, and that's what I love, mud on my face, and I love that. And yeah, a lot of the kids, they don't even know who I am, as in, that I'm a 2 times world champion, author, global speaker. They just know me Steve, the cub leader, Steve, the cub leader, and that's great. I love that. So so am I the same person as I was before? Yes, up to a point. I think I've got more wisdom now, more experience, more expertise. I can help people more. I've got more stories. I've got a backstory as well. I don't want anybody to compare to what I've been through, but I want them to be inspired by what I've been through. I don't want anybody to go through what I've been through. And if I can tell my story well enough in the best way possible to make it memorable, then they don't have to go through anything that I've been through. I've done that. I just need to tell my story and make it memorable, entertaining, but giving out mantras so that they can go and achieve in their life. And if they do that, then it means that I'm making something good out of something that was really bad in my life, something that turned my life upside down, changed my life, not ruined, changed my life. But if I feel I'm on a constant mission to make something good out of that, and I've done a lot myself, which is great if that's all about me. So now that I've ticked a lot of boxes for me, how can I progress it more to other people, to the audience? And I always say, if I've got an audience of 100, that's great, but why is it not 1,000? Why is it not 10,000? Why is it not 1,000,000? Why is it not the O2 Arena? Why is it not the world? It's the same message that I'm getting out there. So what more can I do to get that out there?
What's your advice to your younger self? Is there anything you'd do differently? We're getting very close to a regret question.
Message to my younger self. I don't think there is. If I look back, I've already said all the things that I did in my younger self. I'm using now. I used when I had the accident, when I was in hospital. I use as an elite athlete. I'm using now, even running my business. So I don't feel I've got any regrets of what I did when I was younger. I kept myself fit and healthy. I did study as much as I could. I remember when I was studying at Doncaster College, it was hard. I shouldn't use the word too hard. It was challenging. So I was working during the day. I was working down the pit, and then I was going to night classes, or full day at college, and I struggled. And so I used to take myself to Doncaster Library on other evenings and go through the work, reiterate everything that I'd been through, and revise, so that I could pass the tests. And I did, and I did pass the test. So no regrets. There's nothing that I've done. I was always the best that I could be. I think throughout my childhood, growing up, I've already said with the scouting, I got the top scouting award, the Queen's Scout Awards, as a scouting, in engineering, as a runner. I did as much as I could. I got my PBs in 10K, which was 37:42. My goal was to get under 35 minutes before I was 35 years old. That's what I really wanted to do. And then I had the car accident when I was like 29 years old, so I couldn't do that. Um, but I was on a mission to get that done. I travelled, I was working down the coal pits. The coal pits got closed, and with my £600 worth of redundancy package, which wasn't much, I got a round the world ticket and I travelled around the world. I took advantage of things. I didn't lean on my excuses. I turned them into a challenge. And I traveled around the world, and I had to work while I was traveling. When I got to Australia, I was working in a bar, I was picking fruit, I was doing whatever I could to prolong my traveling. So I blitzed it. I feel like I'm constantly doing as much as I can. So when I look back on it now with that question, no, I don't think I could have done anything different. I've got no regrets then, and I've certainly got no regrets now. I turned 50 last year, and I was like, wow, I've turned 50. How much I've done in 50 years. What am I going to achieve in the next 50 years? How exciting is that? You just think, I don't know. Let's see. It's like a roller coaster, but you don't know where it's going to go. But you decide where you're going to go. You have a think, you get that vision, you draw that picture, and you start taking steps bit by bit. And that's exciting. I love that.
That's brilliant.
Mm.
That's brilliant. What are you most grateful for?
Okay. The one that jumps into my head is health. My health. I don't take it for granted. I have pain every single day of my life, but I'm not really thinking about that. I'm thinking about my health, my lungs, my heart, my brain, um, and I work on that. I look after myself physically and mentally. I had a blip, a session early this year, April, May, with my mental health. I ended up in hospital for 5 days. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I regret. I wasn't looking after myself. Okay. I learned from that. So I thought, okay, let's put things in place to make sure that that never, ever, ever happens again. I ain't got time to be going into hospital. I don't want to be going into hospital. I don't want other people worrying about me. What do I have to do to make sure that my mental health is in check? I need to talk more to other people. I need to share more with other people. I need to, and it's not all about the physical. A lot of people say, "Oh, to keep your mental health, you need to get some fresh air and go for a walk." And yeah, no, it's not. That helps, but I was physically fit. I was training for a triathlon, so swimming, cycling, running, that was all good. It was the mental side. I was being closed. I wasn't talking to people about what was going on inside my head, uh, and I messed up, and I learned from that. And to be honest, when I look back on it, I'd probably done something similar in my rehabilitation phase. As you can imagine, there's some really dark times in that, when I probably had mental health issues. There were some really dark times as an elite athlete. And my marriage was struggling, and I was training, and I was working full time in health and safety in construction. And there was some really dark times then. I remember phoning the Samaritans and speaking to them, but I pushed on from that. But it's only this time recently in my business, this third phase of my journey, I'd say, since the accident, where I've actually registered how bad it was and actually doing something about it. Got some help, did that thing of asking for help. That's hard sometimes. But got some therapy, got some counseling, got better very quickly, got better, but not oblivious to how much work I put in and what I need to do to keep it as it is. Keep talking. I'm very when people say to me, if I'm struggling and people say, "How are you?" I'm very tempted to say, "I'm fine. How are you?" I'm fine. How are you? It's almost like it just rolls off the tongue. I'm fine. Let's push it back on you. Stop talking to me. Stop asking me. And I have to stop doing that. I have to say, "Oh, thanks for asking. Actually, things aren't brilliant at the moment. This is bad. This is bad." I'm not offloading or anything like that, but I'm being more open and honest to myself and to the person that's asked me. Now, I'm not to everybody. That's not to if somebody just stops me in the street, or somebody just saying it, how's things. But if my friend or somebody who actually cares about me says, "Oh, how are you?" Yeah, take some time out and tell them how things are, um, because that's what you need to do, and that's the sharing. And by doing that, that helps my mental health. My physical health, I'm good at. My mental health, I need to keep working on. So all is good at the moment. So that's what I'm thankful for. That's what's good. It's my health.
It's an interesting conversation that keeps cropping up, the one about mental health in
Mm.
men, and it does keep cropping up. And it's the it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
That thing. Oh, that was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't help everybody though, because and I don't know about the whole toxic masculinity thing. I haven't really pinned down what that means, but there is a position that a man traditionally holds in his world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the position of the oak tree that lean on me.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not so much, even though it's part of it, it's not so much I don't want people to know that I'm not feeling 100%. It's not so much that, it's, I don't want people knowing because I don't want them not to lean on me because they need to lean.
Yeah.
You know? And that's a problem. That's the issue with, being able to be comfortable speaking out for a lot of people. It's not necessarily just the ego part of it,
Mm.
which I can see that as being the toxic side of not being able to communicate. But there's also a very real I'm the oak,
Mm-hmm.
and they need to know that I'm stable. So that person can't do the communicating in public, communicating in any normal setting. But they definitely need to reach out and find a way of doing that communicating
Yeah.
somehow. How did you find the therapy side of things, just speaking about it? Because other than saying it out loud with another human, are they actually saying anything back that is of assistance? Because what is it you don't know?
So I think with the oak tree, being oak tree, that's fine. But from my experience, and I was probably that oak tree, and especially as a motivational speaker, I didn't want to show my vulnerability too much. But what happened to me was I ended up in hospital, and I regretted that massively. I was angry with myself, such an idiot, um, because I hadn't shared with anybody, I hadn't spoken to anybody, and that will happen to other people.
Mm.
They know it will. There's statistics about suicides in men and men having mental health and breakdowns, and I'm not saying they have to like go onto social media and expose everything, or shout out loud about it, but they have to do something about it. So what can they do about it? I guess we're talking about men in general. Um, it's about sharing. How can they share? Well, just share with yourself for starters. That voice in your head. But start writing a journal. Just write down. You don't have to share the journal to anybody. You can lock it up if you want, but just write down what's going on inside your head. That will help. We've already mentioned it before, whether it's listening to music or poetry, that will help as well. If you want to go further than that, find somebody that you can talk to. There are lots of men's clubs now, but maybe that's too many people. Maybe a friend. Have you got a friend that you can just talk to? The right friend. I think this is the other one. Another thing that I found is that since my mental health issue, I've got different friends for different things. Some friends for business, some friends for fitness, some friends for my mental health, friends for love, friends for relationships. Find different friends. And if you haven't got friends for all of those things, well, go on that quest and find those people. That's exciting, finding, oh, I wonder who I could find. And you won't know until you start being a bit more open, just a little bit more open with all these people and find out what they're good at. So I remember talking to one of my friends about my, I think it was about my mental health, and he was rubbish. He was just absolutely rubbish. I thought, okay, you are not the person I need to speak to. Whereas I spoke to one of my female friends, and she was brilliant. I thought, okay, you're the right person. But sometimes, you gotta talk to other people and find out. Eventually, yes, you might need a therapist or a counselor. Okay, it might be a bit of a last resort because you now have to start paying somebody, and you think, okay, well, maybe that's the thing that's stressing me out is I haven't got any money, and now I'm paying money to talk about how much money I haven't got. Okay, I get that. So again, you can put the feelers out, and maybe you'll find somebody who will just do it for as a favor, or find somebody that's cheap but still good or qualified, or maybe you just need to make that an investment on yourself, on your health, um, and talking to them. And again, it's behind closed doors, so that might help. I don't know. I've given lots of suggestions there, but it's up to the individual to find out what they need to do. But do something. Do something. Because being that oak tree and not sharing anything, that's what I was doing. And that's why I ended up in hospital. And that's what I regretted. And now I won't do that anymore. And I don't want other people to do that. So it's all about that doing something before it happens, being proactive rather than reactive. So if you're feeling like you're in a good place, do it now before it gets in a bad place.
What brings you peace?
Oh, having no regrets is a really good piece. I do this thing of work hard, play hard, but kind of like earning my peace, earning my rest. So the perfect day earns me peace. So if I can do some exercise, and blitz it, get a bit of sweat up. If I can do some business, standing on the stage, motivating would be awesome. But if it's just good lead generation or marketing, if I can do some family time as well, tidy the house. If I'm ticking off all the boxes and it gets the evening, oh, that's great. I'd love to sit down, watch a really good quality drama or film, have a few glasses of wine. Um, that would be really nice. That gives me peace and go, what a brilliant day. It's been a no regrets day. So you do that for a day, you do that for a week, a month. That's what brings me peace. I think there's lots of other things if I think about it. I guess it's like that's one version of peace. I do like going out for a walk at the moment. Well, running brings me peace. Going out in the fresh air. Do you know what? I went out for a run the other day. Gosh, I have to go out so early now. I had to go out at 4 o'clock because it's getting dark. And I like to go out into the fields and into the woods because of where I live. I do not really like running along the pavements or the streets. And street lights is all you've got at 5 o'clock because it's so dark. So yeah, going out that brings me peace as well. Swimming. I went swimming this morning and I now don't count lengths. I used to count lengths when I was training, and now I get in, I swim for about an hour. So I let my mind wander, and it's lovely. It's kind of my form of meditation, think about something creative. So that brings me peace. Um, Fire. I love fire. Not in a bad way, but just like looking into the flames and just feeling the heat. So I have a fire at home, a little fire pit, and obviously what I'm doing with the scouts, and that's really good as well. So yeah, quite a few things bring me peace.
If this will be my last question, I think.
Okay.
If these cameras, piped to you in front of every single person on earth, so kids, grown-ups in the UK, little kids struggling in Africa, kids all over the world, people all over the world in all sorts of different circumstances. And it was live.
Okay.
You're speaking to everybody.
Okay.
So this is this global stage.
This is it. This is what I've been wanting. Okay, this is it. Okay.
This is
Last, goodness me.
this is it. So if that was happening right now, what would you say? All yours.
Okay, so what I would say to everybody, without going through my whole journey, is I'd say live your life with no regrets, whatever that might be. Find that thing that you really want. I call it your gold. So what is your goal, your opportunity, your love, your dream? What is your dream? What is the thing that you really want? What is that thing that will get you out of bed at 5:30 in the morning? What's that thing that gets you excited? What's that thing that you're passionate about? What's that thing that you're almost a little bit embarrassed to share with other people because it's a crazy idea and they might even laugh at you, but actually deep inside you really want it? What is that thing that you want that will, make you run around like Billy Whiz? Find that thing that you desire and have that as your vision, your golden vision, something you can focus on so you know what you want to achieve rather than what you want to avoid. Know what you want, know where you're going, and then set off on that journey. And on that journey, I get it, there will be barriers, obstacles, hurdles. You've got to see each one of those as an excuse, and don't lean on your excuses, but instead you've got to turn your excuses into challenges and push forward out of your comfort zone at times. But I think on this journey, the main thing you've got to do is you've always got to be the best that you can be. Because if you do that, then you've got no regrets. And if you've got no regrets, then I believe that every single person listening to this will achieve their gold.
Steve Judge, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Yes, it's been amazing. It's been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.